Hi, second graders. It's Miss Molly. Today we're going to begin thinking about why Europeans came to the Americas and who the Europeans were who came. You and your teacher might want to make your own chart, just like this one. Why did Europeans come to the Americas? And over the next week or so, we'll be studying a few different explorers and considering why they came. So teachers, for today's lesson, you can either play the video and I will do the read aloud for you, or you can do it yourself and have students in your class, if you're in person, hold up pictures at the given cues. If you are watching online, you can have students practice doing the actions with me. And at the end of today's time together, we're going to have a discussion. We're going to think about, was Verrazanno a hero? This is Giovanni Verrazanno, who we'll be studying today. And we'll be considering, should we name bridges after him, buildings, places that are important to us? Why or why not? So if you are doing the read aloud on your own, have fun. If you are doing it with me, let's get started. So today we're going to be learning about the explorer Giovanni de Verrazanno. Giovanni de Verrazanno was an explorer in the 1500s. He was hired by the King of France, King Francis, to sail his ship, La Dauphine, from Europe to find a route to China and Japan. In 1524, after a 50-day trip, La Dauphine arrived in the Americas. So we just heard why Giovanni de Verrazanno wanted to come to the Americas. He wanted to find a quicker route to Asia. Here are the Americas at that time. Giovanni and his crew traveled up and down the East Coast. Can you pretend that you're traveling with me? They met different indigenous people along the way, but Verrazanno thought the indigenous people were inferior to him. And this is what many other Europeans thought about the Lenape and other indigenous people. Inferior means not as good. The Europeans thought that the Lenape were not as good as them because they dressed differently. You can see the Lenape dress versus European dress. Their houses looked different. They traveled around much more than Europeans. They grew food differently. You might even have some bias coming up in your own mind right now. That happens sometimes, and we can speak back to that bias and remind ourselves no culture is better or worse than another culture. While Verrazanno was traveling, he arrived in Delaware, and when he got there, he saw a young boy. He took the boy from the woman and carried her back to France. He said, "We wanted to take the young woman, who was very beautiful and tall, yet she managed to raise such a fuss that we decided to leave her behind and took only the boy." This was common. Europeans often kidnapped indigenous people, especially children, who they could later use to interpret for them with other indigenous people. Later, the ship, La Dauphine, anchored in the Narrows between Staten Island and Brooklyn. A Narrows is a strait or narrow body of water. Verrazanno lowered a small boat off of La Dauphine and rowed, can you row with me? To explore what he thought was a very beautiful lake. Let's say, ooh, ah, ready? Ooh, ah. Verrazanno saw some indigenous people. They may have been Lenape people or people from another tribe called the Mohicans that were in their canoes. The Lenape welcomed him, and he reported that they waved and greeted him cheerfully. Many indigenous people, like the Lenape, had heard stories about white men coming to their land, so they were not afraid. A huge storm forced Verrazanno to leave New York and continue his travel north. Verrazanno made 2 more voyages west. He was the first European to encounter the New York harbor, and later, the Verrazanno Narrows Bridge was named after him. So now it's time for you to talk with your class. What do you think? Is Verrazanno a hero? Should we name things after him, like the Verrazanno Narrows Bridge? Why or why not? With your group, with your class, you can discuss your ideas. You can use some of these discussion prompts to help you. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, second graders. See you soon.